Just walked out the theater, just got back home after watching Elio, the new Pixar movie, my first original Pixar movie since seeing Coco back in 2017. Let's get straight into this. Now, gut feeling, I'm just gonna say my ranking right off the bat, 6 out of 10, kind of. I want to give a lot of pros to this movie for its animation style. I thought the design of the characters was really good. I did not know much about this movie. I saw like the trailers and stuff, but I kind of come pass and go on those trailers. I don't really like deep dive and delve into them. But I haven't even seen like Elemental yet, which was another recent Pixar original. But I've seen Elio. But I really wanted to go see this movie because I wanted to get back into like my hustle for media and especially Pixar, because I have not seen any of their originals in theater since Coco. I have seen like Onward and Luca and Soul when they all came out, but that was during the pandemic and when we were recovering from that pandemic. So a lot of them I just saw when they dropped on Disney Plus. And I want to say the Elio character, I'll be honest, kind of unlikable. At the start, I'll keep it a buck, but I understand that's the point, you know. I don't mind when a character's unlikable a little on the start, as long as like they actually grow and like you follow their journey in a good way. So it was a good like unlikable in the sense that, you know, you follow this kid's journey and you kind of resonate with him. You kind of see where his path is heading. You are very interested. You're invested in his story, which is really good. I'm glad the story went for that. And his aunt, really good character, you know. I didn't know if she was going to be a little too stereotypical. I do think there was a point in the movie where I thought she was just kind of there. But the second half of the movie, she really kicked in my opinion. She became a much better, just more well-rounded character. I'm glad that they gave Elio time to develop with his aunt and his new friend, which is the son of the villain. I had an inkling too. I'm like, they look so similar. I almost had an inkling that like his new friend was the supposed like figure that all of them were fearing, and didn't turn out that way, but I got close enough. They're blood related. He's his son. So there was that. Overall, I don't want to say this movie's forgettable. I will say it is kind of just like a very, like, it's a unique movie, but not something I plan to revisit in a while. But it's still a watchable movie. It's really solid for what it's worth in the modern day Pixar, you know, era. I watched Inside Out 2 last summer, which was really good. It was a sequel, so it was kind of nice to get a taste of a original movie for once. And once we know we're gonna get Toy Story 5, Incredibles 3, Coco 2, all probably in the span of the next 5 years. And I just, you know, it's refreshing to actually get a chance to see Pixar originals, because like, we all know a lot of the companies, like, they're in their kind of phase where they just want to constantly milk on their movies that they already know are already popular instead of trying to take the risk of making originals. So I appreciated this movie in that sense. I think the release time of it was very nice. Like, this is a great time to release a movie like that. And I think it's definitely worth your watch. It has some good characters, has some nice moments. I think the characters, like I said, one of my biggest very fleshed out. I think all the characters had their times to shine that they wanted to. There was some nice dynamics fleshed out there. I just think maybe some of it happened a little too sudden and stereotypically, in my opinion. Like, I would say the beginning was probably the roughest part of the movie. It just didn't really feel inspiring. It felt very like, let's just get to the point like as soon as possible. Let's not like actually flesh them out. Let's just make it happen so quick and just let the audience just take it in. And that was probably like the biggest con I had over this movie. But overall, say like a solid 6 out of 10. I would say probably the guy's son, the villain's son. I'm not good with the names yet. I literally just saw their names in theaters and they haven't clicked yet, besides Elio, of course. But the guy's son, probably my favorite character in the entire movie. Little weird, in my opinion, that they didn't give him eyes. We'll just say that. But, like, I don't understand, was the design choice. It didn't look bad. It's just, I don't... it's just a topic for another day. I don't need to like go into the ins and outs. Like, oh, how do they see? How do this? I can't enjoy movies if I just like constantly like focus on like every itty bitty detail. Like, yeah, I can't go down that well. So I think Elio's a solid movie. 6 out of 10. That's like this is a very raw out of theater reaction, so not even like just something like quick. This is just I'm kind of going over little ins and out details of it, and like I said, Elio pretty unlikable at the start, but gets better. The aunt character, I liked her since the start. I was just hoping that they gave her more to do. They did by the second half. The clone of Elio, I mean, solid character. I mean, it is kind of Elio, right? But had its parts. It had some parts that were honestly kind of spooky in a sense. Like, it almost kind of give off like a horror vibe. And if this was something like real life, live action shooting, that would just be straight up like a horror film at that point. And I liked it. Maybe they could have gone a little more impactful with some of like the danger, like maybe like severely hurt someone. I don't know, but it could have been a possibility. Overall though, solid movie, 6 out of 10. If anyone watching this, let me know if you're gonna go see it, or if you have seen it, what are your thoughts? But that's my raw theater reaction to Elio, the new Pixar movie.